get this rodeo started.
Am I blocking your thing?
Okay, we're ready to start the general Q&A for EverQuest II. Where everybody knows the drill. We'll form a line in the middle, and the person in front gets to talk. We'd really appreciate it if you just do one question per person. It's okay if you get right back in line again. It doesn't bother us at all, but one question per person is fair for everybody, please. So, that being said, batter up.
Except this time we're starting with the person in the back.
Surprise! You guys could order yourself by order of height.
Okay, my question is, if you're in a raised environment and you're a mage with a pet, that pet is useless. It doesn't live through anything.
This is the AOE immunity thing?
Yeah, like I have half hard mode, half easy mode gear, and one trash mob from any given easy mode raid instance with one AOE can one-shot the thing. I mean,
so this
in the panel where we're talking about base words, those one of the things that we definitely have to look into is AOE immunity on pets to see if that helps with that kind of stuff. The base words is definitely going to need something like that. And in general, anyone who's relying on a pet should have some sort of advantage or something for their pet. But obviously, it all goes to balance. So we have to definitely consider those things. But it's not something that's on the table for sure.
okay, cool.
Just a quick question that was leading in from the trade skill piece, actually. I'm definitely not trade skill, but one of the funniest things in the game I've seen in a long time was when we went into the tent. And one of my friends, my mic went out and he slid right off that first ledge. I thought it was funny as hell. So if you guys could make anything that is a trade skill quest, I don't care what it is, but a slippery floor.
I don't think we can do that because that's just going down a slippery slope.
Bouncy floor!
So I have a guild that is level 90, but we don't want to move to the big guild hall. And I have 2 years worth of status and rent paid on the door. Is there any plans to get some new amenities for people like us who like to be closed in together and don't want to be in those giant guild halls with all the lag and...
Well, not in the way you're asking. The Freeport's going to have a bunch of amenities in there that are available for everybody, but as far as putting them into smaller halls, we don't currently have any plans.
This has been brought up at other fan fairs. Is there any plans for linking accounts or any progress on linking accounts owned by one person that do separate accounts?
There is no progress. This does not mean that we don't keep talking about it. So it's not a dead issue at all. It's just that we just simply haven't had time.
Okay, I don't know if it's for everybody, but I've noticed once vitality potions, when on station cash, it seems like our regular vitality goes down almost twice as fast. Anybody else agree with that?
That would be really clever of us. That shouldn't be happening, but I can check.
Seems like it is, believe me.
Maybe he's a really good player.
Last year you guys made me super happy and you gave us this really cool feature called hide mounts, and nobody threw anything at me. Can we please hide the mounts when they're on the ground? The flying ones? Please?
That was suggested in the art panel, and it's a good suggestion. We just haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
Because if you ask any guy in here why they play a female tune, they're going to tell you because they'd rather look at a female's butt when they're fighting. I'm a monk, and I'd rather see her butt than a snowgirl's butt.
We positioned the Pegasus mount camera just for you. And by the way, we're fixing that. We're going to fix that.
Snowgriff has a nice butt.
Have you given any thought to combining classes like back into Shaman, Druid, Cleric, so you can do more customizing the AAs?
Wait, what was that again?
Have
Have you given any thought to combining classes back into like Shaman, Druid, Cleric?
So you're saying just getting rid of subclasses and keeping the core 12 classes
And
we
to
have?
do more with AAs?
Well, I mean, AAs right now are all divvied up based on all the subclasses, right? So we actually have a lot of diversity already because we have so many classes. So I don't understand exactly why you would want us to go back, because it would actually shrink the amount of diversity we have, right? Or am I misunderstanding the question?
Yeah.
The feeling was that they're kind of watered down.
So basically what you're saying is that if we consolidate the classes into an archetype, then we could basically keep all those AAs, and that archetype could select from all the available AAs.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
We have fantasized about that, and then we think about how many people would probably kill us on sight because they love their dirge or whatever. So.
Yeah, we actually did extensively talk about it over the last, I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago. And yeah, we pretty much fled screaming. Ran like little girls.
Since stats are now based on, since the stats are now only affect each class, like strength for fighters, ability for the scouts, is it possible to rework the god pets to where if you have one that only gives agility, it can only give something that if you're not a scout that can actually give you a bonus?
One thing that I know we were going to do was I think we were just going to have all the pets give you all of the attributes, so that you're basically going to choose your pet based on your role play.
My question is about Guildhall amenities. I think you probably answered this with the Freeport thing. A lot of more new things are coming. Can we get a chrono mage in the Guildhall and possibly a secondary banker to put by the trade skilling?
Secondary what?
Like a secondary banker, so you could have more than one banker in your Guildhall, so that way, like your crafting areas over here, you don't have to walk all the way across super slow to get to drop off your goods.
That one's probably doable since the banker's already there anyway. I know Dave has a love-hate relationship with amenities in Guildhall.
Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you the discussion. I won't get into it too detailed, but basically the discussion is that we hate the fact that we love guilds, and we love the guild halls, and they're fantastic. The problem is they're too damn good. And so nobody's ever anywhere else but in the guild halls, and it makes the rest of the world very, very empty beyond. So, that being said, the suggestion is obviously a good one. We just kind of have a moratorium against adding more guild halls amenities at this moment until we can figure out a solution for that. So we'll put those things on the list, and once we start adding amenities again, those are good ideas. But right now, we're not adding amenities.
If you guys would all hang out in the cities and have a good time, then maybe we would.
When we revamp Freeport, then they can do that.
Back to the interest of clearing up inventory space. I love what you did with mounts by making a tab where you can put all your mounts in there so they're no longer cluttering up the bank or whatnot. Could you do anything like that with illusion items, like clicky illusion items, where we could put them in a bank tab and then have a hotkey for whichever favorite one we have equipped for the time?
Yeah, that's come up. We've talked about maybe either doing that or making it to where when you get an illusion item, you scribe the spell into your spell book, and maybe there's an illusions tab in your spell book for casting it, or something of that nature.
He got in trouble.
We're also looking into ways to actually build the quest items so they're not in your inventory. But we're looking into ways to do it. We want to do it, but it's not scheduled yet. Well, more importantly, we just don't want them in your bank to start with. It should be on your journal or something like that, so you can get to it easy. Yeah, I know. We can't do it right away. We have lots of discussions to do. It's just something we wanted.
Okay, I know you said you're not going to be adding any more amenities to the guild hall, but one
for now.
For now, but one for a suggestion in the future. I know you talked about people not going to the cities, which I'm a guide, so I feel your pain. Really, I do. But in a large guild, we have the Cunard Writ Giver. Is there any way that we can have the Writ Giver for all the other levels instead of us having run to all the different zones to get our writs for the lower level?
Master of
a generalized, because right now the writ giver will give you all the good or all the evil writs. So, for something in the future, possibly.
We've already discussed that, all the writs and just making a general purpose writ giver rather than making a QNARC or the other expansions. Just having a general purpose one that gives all levels is what we're
Just a quick one on, I know we have a lot of high level trade skillers, and they pick the class, the venture class they don't like. Is there going to be a way to respec your venture class to 0 or 1 to start over again with a new class they want to play? Maybe a beast lord.
I guess it's our fault. This is funny because we meant to do that. And I'm like, yeah, Emily, why didn't you guys make that? And she's like, well, we're waiting on you to finish the code for it. And I'm like, oh, I thought we did finish the code for it. So this is one of those confusion things. We were trying to get it done, and we have it on the list to do. So yeah, I think we can probably get that work in.
I could have sworn we did that already.
I did too. That's good.
Is there a way to look at fighter taunts, since right now they don't actually do anything, and if you take the time to cast them, your hate will often go down? My procs from my AAs on combat arts generally hit for way more than even a crit taunt. I'll still cast it for the debuff, but if that's the case, then just make it a debuff and not a taunt.
So fighter taunts are something that we definitely want to get around to looking into. We've been really busy with new upcoming features, and I understand definitely that it's really frustrating when you cast your taunts and you don't get as much as you used to, especially. So it's on the list, and we'll get to it as soon as we can.
Okay. Who's in charge of Shadow Knights?
It's like it'll be after 61 sometime.
Actually surprised none of it's come up before, but it's probably something that all we have experienced with the raids and latest expansion. The three main things: brawler weapons. Can we possibly get them in a crate with the other fighter weapons instead of separate? Because when you try and even auction them now, it's rotting or getting muted. Instead of being sold, everybody's all discussed them, and they're dropping more than the other classes that actually could use the weapons up to mobs.
Creating weapons is something that we've definitely talked about, but it's kind of a weird thing to balance. We created armor because, well, we went to class armor and it kind of made sense, so we didn't want people to kind of get screwed over. When it comes to weapons, once we start creating weapons, then people like, can you create all these other things? And essentially you're just going to be dropping crates. So I don't know. It's something that we have to kind of look at, but it's on the table. We could weight the table so that brawler weapons drop less, which is what we've done in previous expansions, but I'm not a huge fan of that, because if you're that one brawler and you keep going to raids, you don't get your stuff.
Yeah, but I mean,
it
it's
sucks.
Just fighter specifically, if you could have it where it's like the skeletons, every skeleton uses fighter weapons is split between the two, and it's brawler weapons that are dropping all the time.
Yeah, well, some partial good news is the Beast Lords use brawler weapons. So
And then the same category of effect with war rooms, they're not heirlooms, so you have to either slow up your raid or people's ults don't get those war rooms, but they have the gear that can use the war room.
Yeah, well, war rooms were put in non-heirloom. That was something we all agreed on doing because we were giving you the option to essentially put whatever procs you could get on, up to 7 slots. And we really wanted the character that earned that by being there, not saying that you didn't earn it for your account. We wanted that character to actually with that and get it. Once again, it's one of those things that's been reopened recently and you can consider it, but the future of war rooms isn't exactly right.
Yeah.
So it may not even be an issue.
Yeah, because the other thing is, like, you can still get around that, what you have in place, because people can zone in there all
I know.
So, thanks.
It's so much.
Someone else is going to have to read her question. Sorry, we don't read quest text.
Will we get more voiceovers for NPCs again? Yes.
So my question goes to
really neat crystal tunic that doesn't match anything. And I assume that at some point there was a rest of a set. At least I'm hoping. I'm really hoping there was. But I can't find these sets anywhere. You like get this really nifty looking breastplate and absolutely nothing to wear with it. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. Is there any talk of like fixing those sets that where you get all these neat BP graphics and you got nothing to go with it?
What is there?
I can't remember the name of it. It had crystal in the title and it was black and white. And it's really neat.
Is this a recent item or?
No, this is an older item. But I'm just saying that even recent ones, you get these really neat BPs and you can't match them with anything. Not so much now, but
as a part of the re-itemization, at least for overland stuff and quest rewards, we're making all new items, and we're trying to. One of the tasks of Ninja is that he's actually come up with a really cool appearance progression for all our zones, for all the tiers. And once that's out, you'll definitely see everything being consistent as far as you get this breastplate, it's part of the full set, and you should be able to get that. In the case of older items that drop, old raids and stuff, those items are just being updated, so they're not new. So you may still get that from that point, but those are things that we'll have to specifically get, hey, this item here drops this look, and I can't find the rest of those. And if you have a list of those things, you come across them, you can feel free to PM me and I'll look into it.
I'd be more than happy to. Thank you.
One real quick clarification before we move on. The last question was about voiceovers, and when I say yes, basically what I mean is that more characters will get spot color voiceover, but we're not going to do full-on voiceover for all dialogue and lines and stuff like that. That's crazy talk.
Okay, my question involves illusionist pets. I have finished the Epic Repercussions, and I have the buff you get for imbuing the power from your mythical epic onto you. When you zone, every now and then, your pet vanishes with a message saying you can no longer meet your requirements. Is that going to be fixed anytime soon?
I have that bug too.
I was trying to blame it on him, and he told me it was a code issue. So he's explaining it. So it sounds like something we can look into, and depending on how much time it's going to take us to fix it, and if it's fast, we can probably get it knocked out.
Because it's not a consistent thing. It's, I'll go somewhere and I'll zone 3 or 4 or 5 times, then I'll zone and boom, it's gone. I'll zone again, it's gone. And then the next time,
I actually know what causes it.
Yeah.
When you have rapidity on, which takes 1 concentration slot, and then 2 other buffs that take 3, and then you don't have the 3 when you zone available, it thinks that it costs them 3 to begin with, and then it says, oh, you can't cast it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You want to work computers?
Yeah, we'll take note of that.
Okay, thank you.
As was mentioned earlier, the mount tab was really great when it first came out. However, with the different mount types we have now, I'm finding I'm having to keep the new mounts, in my bag. So I leave the ground mount in the mount tab, and I can turn off any mount casting that. If I want to get on a leaper, I have to hotbar it, or open my bags to find it in my bags. And then if I want to get on a flyer, if I want to get on the glider, I have to keep it all in my bags now. So I'm finding I'm using the mount tab less and less, and I'm constantly being spammed with, you cannot use this appearance mount with this particular type of mount all the time.
We have an interface plan. It just didn't get into the trial. We thought of it too late for the launcher of leapers and gliders, but we have an interface plan.
I know a fair number of people who are in very small guilds, like, we're talking 2 or 3 people. Is there a possibility, instead of having them to go to a T1, T2, T3, to flag a house as a guild hall? Then they could put in...
Just looking up public.
Is it just because you want to use the house appearance for your guild hall? You want to keep it smaller?
Like a guy I know, he's got a house in Kinos. What he wants to do is simply flag that as a guild hall so he can put in guild amenities.
Right. I mean, that's something we can talk about. Originally, when we first introduced guild halls, we actually took the 5-room houses and we made those the first tier so that you could have that sort of homey, we all meet in a house type of guild versus we have this big grand thing, and then we ended up just adding another level. So, I mean, we could always, I don't know about necessarily turning your house into a guild hall, but we could always maybe release some smaller versions of guild halls that use the house art or something like that. We would just have to discuss it. It's more of a, I guess, like, it's doable. It's just a design thing, whether we want to.
The basic thing is, I'm looking at some people, friends of mine, who literally cannot, it's 50,000 status points a week, and they can't do that.
Right.
It's 4 rents.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just it's a tough thing. I mean, part of what makes the guild halls cool is that it does require a bit of work to get them and maintain them. And so there's always two sides to that coin. You know, if you make them a little bit easier to obtain, then you don't have as much feeling of accomplishment when you have it. So, I mean, we can talk about that and see. I don't think we're going to be able to come up with an answer today, but we'll give that some thought.
Okay. Thanks.
Is there any thought of, in addition to like the ground mounts, the flying mounts, and maybe an underwater mount, like a submersible tinker with claws and grab shinies and stuff?
We've talked about it internally, but we made absolutely no decisions. We like the idea. It would be cool if the mounts showed up on water and things like that, but I mean, that would require a lot of swimming animations for the regular mounts, and if we made special mount, the discussion ended when we got to the dolphin mount. We were all like, oh, that would be totally cool to have a dolphin mount. And then you get to the shore and, oh, we're done. We're not doing that right now. That's pretty much how the conversation went.
I have an idea for that. You jump out, and it like jumps and then it disappears in a puff of smoke.
Wouldn't it be even better if it was a flying dolphin mount, so you can just come out of the water?
You guys already have flying sharks. Flying fish and bites all the time.
Laser beams.
The one thing that I wanted to ask about, we asked about last year, and everybody went like, oh, we could probably do that, but I haven't heard anything about it yet, is some chests or something that you could put in a guild hall where you could put ammo and food so that we don't clog up the guild bank. Things like ammo. The 3 raiders in our guild spend like 20 stacks per raid, because they're just flinging their ammo like that.
Yeah, we're sitting here back trying to get our story straight, so, you know.
Just do a little dance, I'll be okay.
Like a harvest box with arrows, a harvest box with food. Or ammo in it.
This is just the age-old discussion of convenience versus performance and space and that sort of thing.
Well, if you don't do that, if you could make it so that you could make your boxes just sellable to the guild, then we could store them in our vendor boxes and then sell them just to guild mates.
Yeah,
but
we talked about doing the guild-only broker, and it was just something that it was going to end up being a whole lot of work, like take a lot of time, and we just never got around to being able to do something like that. So, I mean, it's still kind of one of those ideas floating out there we know would be really cool to do. We just have to wade in with all the other cool stuff and see where it falls out.
Oh, and make people gain mentality faster in cities, and I'll go back there.
I have a suggestion. I am not a decorator. I've seen some very tremendous decorated houses. In your rating systems, can we get a slob rating? A slob, because I collect all kinds of stuff in wherever floor space I can find when I walk into my house. I go, okay, here it goes. Typical bachelor, and I know 3 of my guildmates the same way. We compete. We're kind of proud of being slobs because we don't take the time that the decorators do. They are very, very good. So can we get a category maybe when we're flying around the building? A slob category.
So we have those awards and trophies that you can earn, and some of those are going to be like a chalice or something for being at the top of the leaderboard for a certain number of days. We could just have the alternate. If you're at the bottom of the leaderboard, you get the slob. It's like a sneaky pile of clothes.
With the soiled laundry award. This bucket? Yeah. Next.
My question is with regards to flying mounts. Would it be possible to get cloud mounts and distance mounts work as appearance slots for the flying mounts?
Yes, it's possible, but we have a lot of discussion to do about how we want to do that stuff. One of the things we're talking about doing is, well, of course, Faye and RSI are going to be able to fly soon. And then the next step after that was our logical discussion for what we wanted to do was be able to set it up so that the wings that you can equip could also possibly allow you to, possibly, I don't know what that is, but potentially or possibly allow you to fly that way. And if we go to that extent, then that's a logical thing for us to add is to allow clouds and discs and stuff like that to be able to fly.
And then give us dragon and wyvern mounts.
I'm going to do this one more time. In Velius, half of the continent was full of dragons. We ain't done it yet. We're building Velius stuff until 2013. We have a lot to do.
A quick short question. Actually, never mind. Don't worry about the short one. I'm really ADD. A couple of I think last year you folks talked about a class manifesto, and I'm just curious, how's that coming?
You know what? The guy that promised that isn't here anymore, and it's not coming. It's just not coming. We'll attack issues one at a time, like we always do, and let you guys know what we're planning and stuff like that. But the class manifesto idea, and I'm sorry, I think I was the person that told you about it. I shouldn't have done it. It just is unrealistic to expect us to have that all put together in one piece when we're constantly changing the game and constantly evolving it. That manifesto changes on a regular basis, almost every month. So we're never going to put it together in one package like that, and I should have never promised it to you. Sorry.
You lost brownie points, man.
I know. Yes.
And I was wondering, could we please get an auto sort inventory button?
Please, Greg, please. Just to sort by item type, like weapons, armor, potions.
I really don't care. Because some.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. That would be really cool to do. If I didn't have to also make design your own dungeon mercenary.
Possibly after November.
I'll do it. Yeah, we'll put that
in. Okay, third year in a row on this. Exiles and questing. It's all over the map where they can do. Exile, people who like to stay in permanent exile cannot do either quick game or quest line. Other quest lines, they can do good or evil side, whichever they want. That's the TSO quest line. Writs, some cities will give them to exiles, some cities won't. Some cities will give them to exiles as long as you're getting them in the city, but won't give them to you in Kunark or TSO or anywhere else. Can we please get this evened out somehow?
One moment, kids.
Indian exiles always causing trouble.
Let's put it this way. We have some ongoing discussions about some things that we might want to do with exiles. I can't get into it. There's no way I can get into it. But that conversation is still very much alive. We just haven't decided what the solution is. And the solution is not necessarily what we're thinking of.
I know this is a very small thing because we only have to deal with it once a month, but can you do something about the LON interface when you're claiming your cards? You go in, you click on this, you choose it, you click on that, you click on that one at a time.
I can talk to the Lodges and NORAD guys, but they're not part of our team.
Okay.
So I'll mention to them that that's really awkward and see what they want to do about it.
Thank you.
Another rating type question. Basically, seeing it over the expansions with the larger mobs and pathing to try and get them to where they need to be. You saw it on Zeracon, you saw it on a couple other giant mobs. Now you're seeing it with the giant mobs, in particular the kill. The pathing and the warping is just brutal. He warps to you, he stops, you try and get away from him, he fires off the red message and he kills everybody.
It's a bug and we are actively working on it.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't be there long.
For the crit modifiers for priests, there's a higher melee crit modifier than there is a casting crit modifier. Why the nerf? Especially with the increase to battle priest in this expansion.
Yeah, what's up with the nerfs? Stop nerfing us.
We want to make sure we give you the right answer. It's got to be kind of funny to watch. It's like people talking to their lawyer before they'll talk to the judge.
We're looking into this.
Okay, so your question was why the melee priests have 1.3 and the
casting priest have 1.2 on the spell modifier.
When we consolidated crit, that was the number when we did the math to come out how much damage does the spell do versus how much damage does the melee priest do. The math came out that 1.2 is where we needed to be, and we look at parses on a regular basis. I don't see it changing in the near future, but it's something that we're always looking at class balance. So if it looks like melee priests are totally annihilating, so to speak, spell priests, we can take another look.
And spell priests are about to get something cool that'll let them do more damage.
Thank you.
We were talking earlier about the Kelvin Guildhall, the Marriott Guildhall, the Hallis Guildhall, and how they look just like Keynote's before. I'm not really concerned with that. What I am concerned about is that my old roleplay guild from EQ1 was based basically in Kelvin, has always been Kelvin, and we're kind of on level 50, and we're trying to get a tier 2 guild hall, except we have to move to Keynotes to get it. And I don't understand that. Is there a possibility of getting at least the tier 2 guild halls in the outlying cities?
I think that was brought up earlier, and it's just something that we have to talk to our team about, getting some higher tier, some more guild hall options for the other cities. It's just seriously something we just have to sit down and see what our team can do.
The guy that would make those guild halls is the guy that's doing most of the Freeport revamp. So he's going to be busy for a while.
Since I could mentor down to somebody and they're venturing, they get 10% bonus XP and everybody adds on. Can I also do that in Kraken somehow? So they can get a 10% bonus when they're leveling up and we're doing Ritz or anything together?
And then maybe some points could go to the trade skill AA.
I think. I think the big difference there is that when you're mentoring someone, you're actually grouping together and doing stuff. You don't really group trade skill. So I don't.
You do Ritz together.
Yeah.
You can do the instances together.
I mean, mine on stage.
It's causing a lot of conversation here, which means it's worthwhile to discuss. We'll talk about it.
Last year you all added where we have up to 40 chat channels, but we still can't change the color of them, so some of the higher numbers are sometimes hard to see. Can we get that fixed where we can set custom colors for the rest of the channels?
Do you know how many colors you can change? Is it just 10?
I think it's 20 now.
Really more than 20?
Yeah, we could. It's easy enough. It just adds a lot more data to the options window, but we could.
And now that we have Leapers, we should have the Meat Beast.
While we wait on the Freeport revamp, people will be freed up to put the Tier 2 and Tier 3 halls in the Charleston and area. After we get some of the Tier 2 non-functional...
We didn't commit to that.
You said he was busy.
He is busy.
So, and meanwhile, can we get some of the appearance amenities that are only available to Tier 2 and above in the Tier 1 halls, like the observatory?
That was just mainly done as an encouragement to upgrade, you know, to have things that those can get that the other ones can't do. So,
yeah, it's kind of a planned progression thing. If you can get the big guild hall, then you get access to more stuff. And then the smaller, I mean, it encourages people to get to bigger guilds, and whether that's right or wrong, that's what the design was. We can talk about it, but that's the way it's going.
I understand your. I guess your particular the point that you're making. You don't have a Tier 2 option in most areas, or you would have those amenities because you'd just be there. In this case, you're saying you're forced to move in order to even get them, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I get that, and we can definitely evaluate that, but I mean, can't make promises that we'd actually go those down because of the progression and stuff.
Well, just throwing it out there.
Sure, thanks.
So on Scout Pets for Summoners, there seems to be just an inherent problem in that they're a melee type pet, and yet you're not, you know, the Summoners aren't going to generally have melee skills to transfer over with shared stats. But beyond that, and there's a thread on this on the, I think, the Conjurer forums if you want to read more, but and I tested this myself on some test dummies, and if you look at your mage pet and see what he's doing, he's firing off spells, bang, 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 no delay between it. Then you could bring out your scout pet, send him out, and he casts a combat art. And I think he has like a 1 melee auto attack, and then he kind of sits there, and then he throws out another combat art, and just kind of keeps continuing on. And I possessed him, and then tried to do it manually, and I was able to, you know, run them manually, no problem. The DPS, I was running parts of the DPS was about double of what the AI was doing. So just curious what you were thinking about that.
It sounds like there might be an issue with how the pet is attacking. However, it is a bard pet, and it's not supposed to do as much damage as the mage pet. It's not supposed to take the same position, and I understand that most summoners don't want to use a bard pet.
Right.
They prefer to use their damage pet.
And I'm not even addressing the total DPS. I mean, that's a separate issue certainly altogether, but it's not even using the stuff it could use.
There may be a bug with how it's casting its abilities. We can take a look at
That's,
that.
yeah, that's what I'm
We'll have to evaluate and see why it's doing that.
Okay, great, thanks.
The underwater mount comment reminded me when flyers first came out that you had like buoyancy or the no-much flotation device on, you would sink to the bottom and you could run at like 500% run speed. Same thing's happening with the leapers and the gliders. Also with the leapers and the gliders, in the Morsi Akesha, I took my little level 80 alt and leapt over to the mainland, and I tried to come back and I nosedived straight into the water. The leapers and the gliders won't make it back. You have to get off the mounts. And with the flying mounts too, it'll work, but if I hit the jump button, the barrel stops in midair, goes through its timing animation.
It's a bug.
And then,
well, yeah. You're not, first of all, you're not supposed to be able to get in the barrel with a mount. That brings all kinds of wrong pictures.
Well, it would be nice if you said you need to dismount first.
Right, yeah.
Or put a sign up or something.
It's an easy fix, and to be honest, we just didn't think of the cannon when you put in the mounts. So, yeah, now that we know about it, we'll fix it.
On the Freeport Extended server, when that patch came out for the Champions for Spike and the additional battlegrounds,
we were under the impression that perhaps we would be merged with Live for the purposes of popping battlegrounds. And when we weren't, that was pretty much the end of Battleground PvP on Freeport. And I was wondering what the real reason for that is, that we're not merged. Because right now, Champions Respite is, frankly, a penalty for us. Because now we have the zone, we can't do anything in. We could already group up with each other on the server or queue. But now, in order to do anything meaningful work, we leave Champions Respite, to do trade skills or anything else. So for us, the whole overall thing is a penalty. And I was wondering what the reasoning behind that was.
I don't think I'll answer the first question first. Yeah, we don't mix the two games. So EQ2X Battlegrounds and EQ2 Live Battlegrounds are separate, and although we do actually agree with you that it would be a lot more fun if everybody played together, that's not the way we designed the games, and that's not how we understand what the community wants, and they don't want to work.
Is there a reason for that?
Oh, technically? No, we can make it.
There's no real reason why one player would be stronger than the other, is there?
Well, I agree with you, but there's a difference in opinion that I'm not going to try to resurrect again. Kind of put that behind us last year. So, at this point in time, we don't have any plans to merge those products at all, and so that fence is still there. Now, the Champions Respite thing, why does it put you at a disadvantage? Why can't you just re-queue back up again once you come out?
Well, you can, but the point is, since we're a single server, we could wait 30, 40, 50 minutes, or never. Once we get to a certain point, like at prime time, 10 p.m. for example, you can pretty much write it off. So the point is, you have to, if you're going to just sit there and do nothing, you leave Champions Respite first, and then queue. It doesn't offer us any advantage at all since we're not merged.
They don't have to, but they can't do anything while they're in it. Yeah,
it's
so
just an additional zone penalty for us.
yeah, you're completely right. If you want to do other things, you'd have to leave. The advantage of the Battleground lobby is that it removes the element of having to physically copy your character from your home database to the Battlegrounds database. So even on Freeport, there's a separate Battlegrounds world, even though only one world participates in Battlegrounds. So I guess the advantage would be that maybe zoning in and out of Battlegrounds would be a little faster from the lobby, but I understand that's not a concern for you. So in this particular case, I don't really know what we would do to fix that. It doesn't seem like it would make sense for us to disable it. So
okay.
I guess, there's always, we've always had discussions about whether or not we open other extended servers. Do we do a PvP server? Do we do another? It just always depends on, how things go. So there's always that possibility in the future that if that happens, then those things become important. But in this current situation, yeah, there's not really a whole lot we can do about it.
To the Freeport situation in general, in the previous presentation, we were talking about in the future with dungeon finders going together. Can we look forward to the same sort of mistreatment in our view?
Nicely phrased, sir.
I mean, if we can't group together with Live for Battlegrounds, then we can't group together for dungeons either, right? Or
well, if there's people looking for groups,
now?
No, of course not. Listen, if there's enough people looking for groups, the Dungeon Finder will work. Period.
On our own server. Oh. You're saying
yes.
We can be merged with the rest of the population.
But they aren't either.
Not yet, but you indicated that was something in the future.
Well, yeah,
across servers too.
That's a ways in the future. So I see what you're saying,
well,
but that's still no. It's still. You're painting a bleak picture of it.
We went there because we wanted to play with a full range of players from the ground up, and that's great. But now we're finding out there's some penalties on the server that are very real, and we can't transfer all.
Well, no, they're not actually penalties. Well, what you need is more people. So go tell your friends to play. I'm absolutely serious.
I've lost quite a few friends since that Battleground patch. We've lost all our Battleground guilds are gone. And that's players.
So you're saying the Champions Respite killed Battlegrounds for EQ2X?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Absolutely. All right, we will talk about this, but we'll talk about it back at the office.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Now, be honest.
Is there a reason all of the ground mounts now move at basically when they're fully buffed faster than a flying mount can fly, and it's the same. They all move at 130, well 120, with the level, with the one platinum mount has the same run speed as the 40 platinum 800,000 status level 90 guild mount. They both move at the same speed.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following these threads on the forums a lot, and of course, when we added the leapers and gliders, basically we changed the way the mounts work, and we did it on purpose. The fact is that the old game of ground progression speed just doesn't really apply anymore. We kind of threw that game out because it's just simply not necessary. The ground mounts move at 130 or 135%. And then the regular mounts, the other mounts move at a much slower ground speed, but are faster in their own way than the ground mounts are. If you do a foot speed race, which we did before we released leapers and gliders, we went to the common lands and we put them all. We put all the mounts of each different type at one end, and we raced to see who could get to the end, and then we balanced accordingly. And the balance design is basically like this. You have ground mounts that move at 130, 135%. Those are great, and with AA buffs and everything like that, you can get pretty darn fast. And of course, those speed buffs apply in different situations that leaping and gliding and flying don't work in, like dungeons. So the ground mounts obviously have a big advantage. And then leapers and gliders, I'm going to skip those for a second. Flyers, of course, have complete freedom of movement. They can go directly vertical, you can hover in place, you can be on one end of the zone, point in a certain direction, hit auto run, go get a sandwich, come back, and you're at the other end of the zone. So they have huge advantages of their own. And then with leapers and gliders, we intentionally made them faster than those other two forms because you can't auto run those. You can't do it. It's a more active way of playing. And so because you're being active in playing the game, we're rewarding you with a little bit extra speed. It's not a huge amount of extra speed, but we are rewarding you with extra speed. And that was intentional. And leapers and gliders are both set up. Leapers can jump the highest. Gliders don't jump as high, but then of course if you jump from a high spot, you can go a hell of a long ways with a glider. And so that's why the balance is the way it is. And we're sticking with it until people get used to it a little bit, and then we'll talk about it further after that. Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, the prices on ground mounts, because there's status prices and gold prices and stuff like that, we just didn't get around to adjusting those. Those are still being reviewed.
Okay.
Hi, first thing I wanted to say is, I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but the Marinite that digs up the shinies doesn't take tier 9 fertilizer. I don't know if that's intentional.
It doesn't take what?
Tier 9 fertilizer.
It's a Guildhall amenity for T9.
Guildhall amenity.
He's ready.
That's come up before, and we'll take a look at it. We'll make sure that both it works the same way.
Okay. The other thing was I wanted to ask, since I love my little pack pony, but he seems to gather stuff out of thin air because he's always behind me. Is there any way I can have him actually go away and harvest his stuff and then come back when he's done?
Turn him off. I just turn him off, but then I have to turn him back on to see if he's got his stuff.
So if you have T9 fertilizers, there's a Guildhall amenity for that. They did that to separate.
But this is definitely something we can probably look at.
Okay, I just wondered. And is there any way I can hide other people's pets? Because there are people who have like a whole train of pets behind them. They're pet trains.
Train his own.
Exactly. But seriously, I would like a way that if I can hide other people's pets, particularly in like groups and raids.
Yes. And they've got 6 and 7 for this pole, 6 and 7.
I think we have 5 minutes left, so...
I'll try to be quick. I've actually had 3 handful of specials, so this may not come out exactly right. This is for the PR people. I love EverQuest II. I love Star Wars Galaxies. But we need some advertising. I want to see more people playing my favorite games.
We do too.
Exactly. We need magazine ads. TV.
We'll pass around a collection plate for the commercial. It'll only take a few minutes.
I'm in such a corner here. I just have absolutely no control over what marketing does or doesn't do as far as their strategies go. I know that what they do a lot of times, to give you a serious answer, they analyze how much money they're going to spend, and then they try to figure out what the break-even point is for actually. There's this whole. How many of you are like familiar with ARPU and all the other marketing gobbledygook? There's a couple of them. There's basically people stick with the game for a certain amount of period or a certain amount of time, and that generates a certain amount of cash. These are all things you don't really want to know. And then the marketing costs a certain amount of money, and if it's not going to bring in enough people to be able to pay itself off, it really isn't very worthwhile. It's not a good way to market. So marketing is constantly looking for ways to outreach to more players that are not necessarily things like TV ads, which are hugely expensive. And if they don't pay themselves off, all we do is lose potential development money at that point.
But
So that's why you
why
don't
not
see
just like advertise an Xbox magazine or a PlayStation magazine?
Banner ads.
Or we do the banner ads. Or you may not have seen them, but we target banner ads all the time. We buy SEO, the search tokens and things like that on the web, so that people can find us. And we do a lot of that kind of active advertising. We're also bringing back the trial so that we can get people to come back and check out live.
Thank you.
It was supposed to be up this week, but we considered it other time, so it should be next week or the week after. We redesigned the flow of the web page so that when you come to it, there's very clear reasons why you should try live versus EQ2X. We simplified that whole thing because honestly, everybody thought that was a little convoluted last year, and we're doing everything we can to bring people into this, but we also have to be fiscally responsible with our revenue. So that's why you haven't seen TV ads and stuff like that, and that's as honest as I can get. I hope you appreciate it.
Why not?
Nobody talks to talk about money.
Why not install EQ2 on Sony laptops?
It all costs money. Sony won't do that for free. Well, that's another thing. People may not understand that Sony isn't one all big happy family. Sony's a very big corporation. I mean, like huge to the point like you can't believe how much revenue comes out, and we are slice of pie. So they make their decisions, and we do our business down here.
Everyone on the planet knows what WoW is. Everyone who hears the word EverQuest thinks it's something from 15 years ago. That's what advertising really is important.
I know that you actually that you understand that advertising is important. Everybody understands that advertising is important, and I'm going to pick myself into a corner here if I'm not real careful. But the fact of the matter is, the scale of economy does not work for us in that discussion. When you have millions of customers generating that kind of cash, you can do things on a global scale that we can't do.
You do.
Sure, we can do stuff like that, and in fact, is it GU61? No, when's the recording? It's on test. We have a YouTube recording feature in the game that's on test right now, so if you want to, you can take video and post it straight to YouTube. The more you post, the better we'll do.
We should get out quick on that happy note.
And we're done. No, we're not really done.
Dick. Mike moved. I'm sorry. Anyways, with the new Drunder zones in specific, I used to raid, and I believe in progression. I do believe raid gear should be the best raid gear in the game. However, with the new Drunder zones in specific, and now with the new with the next GU, we're bringing in, I'm assuming, more heroic zones. As a heroic player, I have a lot of friends, and generally speaking, I cannot take most of the regular casual heroic players to not only the Drunder zones, but the Kale zones, and even to a point the Spire. And I'm curious if the zones are going to keep getting harder. I don't think. Do you believe that the progression is still working? I mean, is the next set of zones going to be harder than Drunder? Where, as far as I know, nobody on my server has cleared
No, they won't all get constantly. I mean, there will always be some that are really hard. But one of the things that we're committing to is doing normal and hard versions of most of the heroic dungeons and raids. One of the chief benefits of why we're doing that is we've gotten a lot of anecdotal feedback when we do normal versions of raids. People are trying raids that have never tried raids before because they can actually beat them. I mean, honestly, if you really want to get honest with yourselves, most of you will probably agree that your favorite games are the ones that you actually beat. And so, it's true. So, when people go in to try a raid and they can play it on a normal version, then they go through and they start to get confidence. And then they're like, well, we beat a couple of these normal ones, let's try a hard one. And then what is happening through that process is they are educating themselves to become better raiders, and you should end up with better quality raiders. We know that's happening with some guilds because we've gotten a lot of anecdotal comments back from small raid guilds. And we hope that the trend will continue.
Okay, I don't know how you did it this long, but PQs, nobody brought it up. Stormgorge, I know you guys took a couple tries at it, still not fixed. In fact, now you can't get it on our server. More than 5 or 10 people even go to Stormgorge. So when are you guys gonna revisit PQs and make it so that you can actually finish?
What's the exact problem?
The lag is so bad. You can't cast anything. You can't move. You can't heal.
Well, the servers that have not been upgraded will be upgraded in the next week or so. So everybody should be upgraded after that, except for that handful of them, like some of the international servers and stuff with lower population. So that will take care of the majority of the lag for those of you who are experiencing it. As far as the PQs go, we want to change the loot system. But Stormgorge is the way that Stormgorge is, and yes, it's harder than the Ring War. So
that's fine.
I know the way it's supposed to be.
The lag is so bad you can't.
Yeah, but we're fixing the lag.
Okay.
If you want to come to the programming thing tomorrow too, we're also going to be talking about how we're working on lag. If you're just interested in that sort of thing, we'll be going over some of that stuff.
2 super quick ones. Pet classes, we have a pet shrink spell. Could we get a pet enlarge spell? And then the second one, and the second one is, could we get a universal ammo slot that can hold arrows and thrown items when we want to swap weapons out?
That's something we can talk about for sure, but I mean, do you want to split the size of your current quiver between those two? If it were a unified quiver, would you want us to double the size of the quiver so that you could essentially have 2 bags in one?
Well, you can put ammo in stacks of 200 now, so I have no issues running out of ammo with the maximum crafted size quiver, which is what?
I think a generic ammo bag is in no way game breaking. So it's definitely something that we can put on the list. We would just have to make them more convertible.
Yeah, it would just be nice if you could swap between your bow and your throwing weapon instead, and carry both types of ammo on.
Yeah, unless there's a particular problem with the range slot and it requiring that, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do that.
All right.
Okay, the end of the line is the end of the line.
I have no idea who this should be focused to. I have an issue in the Statue of Zekphite. I experienced my cast bars recycling the spell that I just cast until I cast another spell, and I'm very visual and to look, am I casting okay, I need to not move, need to do this, need to plan for my next ward or whatever. It's very confusing.
With the help of a coder who is not here, we just checked in a fix for that issue. All those type of pool burn drains, where when you finish your cast, it drains some extra power and does some damage. Those will no longer interrupt your casting.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the orc paintings. If you're not going to take them out, can we put some more in that are not quite so
grim,
ugly?
So you want to orc in like a pink dress?
I would rather see, like, I don't know, elves and dwarves and humans rather than orcs.
Yes.
Fresh batch of ogre and troll paintings.
Alright, so 2 more questions. I've got a ranger on the way of being a tinker. Trying to make the repair bot
it costs 8 rares to make a repair bot, and once you summon it, when people use it, they pay to have their armor repaired, but all the money that the repair bot's making is going back to y'all instead of the person that made it. Amen. Is there a way to have that?
It's a money sink. I mean, he's a merchant. That's the point. I mean, it's just a balance mechanic.
The rare for that is you go to farm it, it takes you a year to get all 8 rares of the exploding.
But you're doing that.
It took me 3 hours
to make a repair bot that you're going to be able to use all the time. And you're making that because you want to be able to repair in the field. That's the convenience. I mean, anyone else who has the money is getting that convenience. It is a money sink. It's meant to be a money sink.
It takes 5 Zekanites to make it. I don't think it would be a good thing for
Now, another part of that question, on the tinker side, it says you have to have a tinker skill of 450, but you got people making them and selling them in the trader, but nobody can use them if they don't have a tinker skill of 450. Then why are you allowing them to be sold if they cannot be used if you're not a tinker?
It's a good point. We have a special limitation on the broker for that particular item, actually for a couple of tinkering items, and we can do that, I think.
No!
I mean, we have to
it's an unnecessary
take that extra
nerf.
step, and it seems unintuitive from the player, because we have to tell them, you can't sell this because it requires a
Well,
tinker skill.
why not take away the restriction of having to be a tinkerer to use it?
Because that's the benefit of being a tinkerer and doing all that work is to use
Right,
it.
but a lot of folks are tinkerers, make stuff to put on the market to sell, but they can't sell it because somebody can't use it.
But that's the point of the tinkerer. I mean, that's kind of a self-enclosed thing, right? You become this awesome guy, you make these cool gadgets, but other than that...
Just a couple more questions, folks.
It's something we can definitely discuss more, but in general, obviously, Frisbee can speak better than this than me.
Hey, just 2 more questions. Let's hang in there.
Would it be possible to get like a self-chrono item to carry with you? Chrono on the run somewhere?
It's cool. It's a cool idea. There's ramifications that have to do with social space that we have to figure out before we do that.
Okay, and one other suggestion. I think that Nagathan crushing a Night Elf, Mohawk, whatever, and becoming a Claw Jam, great app.
Alright, I know you're trying to wrap up, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible. Sorry, I'm asking for a number of people. One, we talked last year about a keychain, some place where we could put items for access, the gate crystals, all that stuff. We need some place to keep all that, and some kind of visual reference to see what we had access to. That would be great. Also looking for some sort of counterbalance to the Brawler Combat Mastery that was introduced recently. It was kind of suggesting that maybe troops might be able to have something that would be similar for their group. Give troops a little bit of love. Always a good thing. Also, COV, still largely broken, especially in raid zones. Brutal trying to get somebody in on that. Raid invite, the command to bring people in when they're out of zone, to bring them into raid, also broken.
Is this, you just have a list of particular issues you want to bring up, right?
Yeah. Well, I got a lot of people there, sorry.
Well, I mean, in that case, if you actually have them written down there, you can PM me, you can PM anyone here with the detailed list that you have. Okay. You're just throwing them at us right now.
Sorry.
Do you have any questions?
I knew you guys.
Yeah.
Biggest question that I had really is, how do you expect fighters to be able to tank, to do their job without the assistance of 2 other classes? Hate on their own is next to impossible. So is there any plans in the works to make fighters to be more in control of their hate on an active basis? Notably taunts.
Yeah, taunts they figure it out. Okay. Taunts are getting improved. The rest of the stuff, like not needing other players to help with, that doesn't sound like something we'd be doing right away.
Well, I don't mean not needing them, I just mean absolutely essential. Like, you can't tank a zone for certain classes without those classes.
If you're with the kanji,
without heat,
you're not doing it.
We definitely wouldn't want that to be the case globally, but we certainly still would like to have some content where you do need certain classes in there to take a particular model or something like that. But yeah, I mean, like Zelgat said earlier, he's aware of tank taunts being an issue and something he needs to look into when he tanks.
I'll get that broken
It
down
is really a
to you guys.
ridiculous thing where you have to have two other classes just in order to take a group, much less a rating.
Yeah, that's in the class manifesto. Okay, that's the question and answer session for today. Have a great